Imagine you're standing alone on an open plain 50,000 years ago. No house, no fence, no flashlight, no gun, just you. And somewhere in the tall grass, a predator is watching. Not a modern lion, not a wolf, something far worse. A smilodon, the famous saber-toothed cat. Nearly 600 pounds of muscle, with teeth almost as long as your hand. Built to ambush, built to overpower, built to end a hunt in seconds. And you never see it coming. Because that's the problem. Ancient humans weren't living at the top of the food chain. For most of human history, we were living inside it. Researchers have discovered fossil evidence showing that early humans were attacked by leopards, dragged away by giant eagles, and hunted by predators powerful enough to crush bone. In fact, if you could travel back to the prehistoric world today, you probably wouldn't survive a single month, maybe not even a week. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If our ancestors were slower than most predators, weaker than most predators, and lacked claws, fangs, armor, or speed, why didn't they disappear? Why are we here, while creatures like saber-toothed cats,
cave lions, and giant hyenas are gone? Before we continue, make one prediction. What do you think gave ancient humans the advantage? Fire? Spears? Or something else entirely? Comment your guess now. Let's see if you're right. The answer isn't strength. It isn't size. And it isn't luck. It's something much stranger. Because the most dangerous weapon ancient humans ever created wasn't a spear. It was an idea. And that idea changed the balance of power forever.
For a long time, that idea didn't exist. And life was brutal. The prehistoric world wasn't a place where humans ruled. It was a place where humans survived. Barely. Imagine leaving camp at sunrise, simply to find water. You aren't looking for predators, but predators may already be looking for you. Hidden in tall grass, waiting near riverbanks, watching game trails used by animals every day. And sometimes, they found humans. Scientists have uncovered fossil evidence suggesting that early humans were not always hunters. In many cases, they were prey.
One of the most famous examples comes from South Africa. A young child who lived nearly 2 million years ago was discovered with unusual marks on the skull. When researchers compared those marks to modern predators, they found something disturbing. The damage closely matched the talons of a giant eagle. At some point, that child appears to have been carried away from the ground and became part of a predator's meal. And that wasn't an isolated case. Other ancient human fossils show signs of attacks from large cats. Some bear bite marks. Others were found in places associated with predator dens.
Quick question. What would scare you more? Looking up and seeing a giant eagle overhead? Or realizing a predator has been watching you without you knowing? Comment your answer. The message is clear. For much of our history, humans were not standing above nature. We were trapped inside it, which makes our survival even harder to explain. Because compared to the animals around us, we seemed completely outmatched. A saber-toothed cat could explode from cover at nearly 30 miles per hour. A giant hyena could crush bones with terrifying force. Large predators could see better in darkness, smell better, hear better, and fight far better. Humans had none of those advantages. No claws, no fangs, no natural armor, no incredible speed. If survival depended on strength alone, our story should have ended long ago. But predators have a weakness.
A weakness so important, it would eventually change everything. They hate taking risks. To us, a small injury might mean a few painful weeks. To a wild predator, a small injury can mean starvation. A damaged leg means slower hunting. A broken tooth means fewer successful hunts. A deep wound can become a death sentence. And ancient humans slowly began to understand that, not by being stronger than predators, but by becoming something far more dangerous, something predators could no longer predict. And that's when everything began to change. Not because humans became stronger, because they became harder to hunt. Imagine you're a saber-toothed cat. You've spent your entire life hunting alone. Every successful hunt depends on one thing: avoiding injury. Then, one day, you approach a group of humans. You expect fear. You expect something to run. Instead, they move toward you, shouting, throwing stones, standing shoulder to shoulder. Suddenly, the hunt doesn't look easy anymore. And for a predator, easy matters. Because one bad decision can mean death. A torn muscle, a damaged leg, a broken tooth. Any one of those injuries could make future hunts impossible. So when predators saw humans working together, many chose to back away. But humans didn't stop there. They discovered something even more powerful: information. One person spotted fresh tracks near a river. The entire group learned about it. One hunter survived an ambush near a waterhole. The story was remembered. Children learned it. Then their children learned it too. For the first time, knowledge could survive longer than the people who discovered it. And that changed everything. Because predators evolved through genes. Humans evolved through information. Before we continue, what do you think changed the game more? Fire or the spear? Comment one word: fire or spear. Then came fire, a small circle of light in a world ruled by darkness. For millions of years, night belonged to predators. Eyes watched from the shadows. Humans could hear danger, but often couldn't see it. Fire changed that. The darkness pulled back. Predators became visible, and many chose to keep their distance. For the first time, humans could sleep a little safer. But the real revolution came with a simple weapon: the spear. Before spears, predators controlled the distance. They decided when an encounter began and when it ended. Then something changed. A sharpened spear allowed humans to strike from farther away. Suddenly, even a small wound could become a deadly mistake for a predator. And predators began making a new calculation: risk. Because humans weren't like other prey. They shared knowledge. They planned. They worked together. Slowly, the balance shifted. At first, humans feared predators. Eventually, predators learned to fear humans. Not because we were stronger, not because we were faster, but because we could think together. Collective intelligence turned the hunted into the most dangerous species on Earth. One final question. If you had to spend 1 week in prehistory, which would scare you most? Lion, cat, or bear?